If you are a photographer and you've always thought that Photoshop is too complicated to use, but you still want to try and learn, then you are on the right video. I want to show you an easy way to understand how Photoshop works, but for photographers. The problem, which is not really a problem, that's just the thing with Photoshop, is that it's built for any visual artist. Well, you are a photographer, so you need to learn this software for photographers. And that's often the problem when photographers start to learn Photoshop. They learn with people that are overcomplicating things, while Photoshop is actually not that hard when you learn it the right way. So with this video, I hope to make Photoshop the easiest possible to understand, and I hope to give you the will to go further with this software, because you can really go more in depth with your edits when you use Photoshop versus Lightroom only or any other software. So let's start. So the first things to know is that when you open a raw image with Photoshop, is that it's going to open with Camera Raw. Camera Raw is pretty much the same as Lightroom. If you go on the Adobe website, they're gonna tell you exactly the same as I am telling you right now. Camera Raw is just Lightroom integrated to Photoshop, nothing else. Everything that you find inside of Camera Raw, you are going to find it inside of Lightroom. That is the same thing. So when you open a raw file, to develop the raw before going inside of Photoshop, you need to go through a Camera Raw. So here you can do your first setting, just like you would do on Lightroom. So here I'm just gonna do quick settings. So yeah, that was a very dark image, so I want to make it a bit brighter. Go down with the highlights. Okay, maybe make the image warmer. I like to go down with clarity, go up with texture. If you don't care about my raw development, you can just go forward with the video. Otherwise, there's just a little free lesson about how to develop your raw. So I like to some blue in the shadows, usually in my photos, and the opposite color, yellow in the highlights. Okay, and let's see, yeah, it's a bit better, more straight. I see some chromatic aberration, so I'm just clicking on remove chromatic aberration. And here what I want to do is to click on open object. I would always recommend you, if you use Camera Raw to develop your raw, to click on open object, because it allows you to go back to the raw and to adjust the settings. So that's a non-destructive workflow. Open objects, and here I am now inside of Photoshop. So I want to show you 3 different panels today. One, the toolbar with all the tools. Here on the left, you're gonna have the layer panel that is on the bottom right. Here we can see our photo, and then I want to show you the adjustment panel that will allow you to especially color grade your photo and to yeah, just do adjustments on your photo. So first of all, what do we have in the toolbar that is interesting for us photographer? First of all, here we have the marquee tool, M or on our keyboard. It will allow us to do selection. Okay, so selection like a square, rectangle. Here we have the elliptical marquee tool, single row, you know, that can be interesting in some cases. Then here we have the object selection tool, which is an interesting tool if you want to select something very specific. So here you can just, for example, we want to select the street only. I just have to click on it and I have selected the street only. Now, to be completely honest, I find this tool that it not very accurate, so I wouldn't necessarily encourage you to use this tool only for selection. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it's not working very well. So yeah, try it for efficiency, but if it doesn't work, use another tool to select what's on your photo. Something to remember is that When you select something and you want to deselect, this is Command D on your keyboard. It's going to deselect, okay? Command D. Now here we have the crop tool, which can be interesting if you want to crop your image. So here I have a 4:5 crop format here on my window. So if I wanted to crop on 4:5, I could just click enter and I would have this crop. Now here I want to keep my crop as it is, so I'm not going to click on enter. Now let's say that you want a 4:5, but you don't have an image that is wide enough. Well, what you can do is to go on the crop tool, so C on your keyboard, and do a generative expand. So see how I bring my window to fit my photo, which means I will have white borders, and now I'm going to fill those white borders with a generative expand. So I just have to click on generative expand, and then I don't write anything, I click on generate. I'm gonna have to wait a little bit and it's going to generate something. So here you can see it gave me 3 different options. So that's option 1, option 2, and option 3. In this case, I think option 3 is the best. Now option 1 was really not working at all. It created something weird on the side. So yeah, here I would use the option 3, and as you can see, it's creating a new layer here. So that's before, that's after, but I'm gonna talk about layers in a bit. So yeah, that's just so you know how to make a bigger image if you need, and if you don't have enough space inside of your own image, you can use generative expand. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. Now I want to show you the eyedropper tool. It's interesting because with the eyedropper tool you can quickly identify the color in one area. So here, for example, if I sample a color here and then I look at my color on the top right corner of my software, I can quickly see that this color is orange. Here that is kind of a green, but more towards yellow and not completely green. Here that is kind of a green as well. Well, I might have thought that that was cyan color, but actually that's more of a green. So it's interesting to use this tool, the eyedropper tool, to quickly see what color is in your image. Okay, so the eyedropper tool, this is I on your keyboard. Then the section that you are probably going to use, it's probably the reason why you want to use Photoshop. This is all the cleaning tools. So you are going to use, so as a photographer, you are going to use the spot healing brush tool, the remove tool, and we use as photographer the healing brush tool, but here it's a bit more advanced. If you are new to Photoshop, I'm just going to talk about the spot healing brush tool and the remove tool. So here what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to create a new layer to clean my image. So that's a non-destructive way to edit, because if I clean directly on my image, I can't go back if I decide to undo what I want. So I create a new layer. I'm going to call it cleaning. So to create a new layer, you click on the little plus here. I'm going to come back to that later. So I choose my cleaning tool. This is G on my keyboard. And to start with, I'm gonna use the spot healing brush tool. So let's say I want to remove this area. Here, the only thing I have to do is to actually brush on top of it, and boom, it's gone. It's super simple. What's happening is that the software look at what's around the area to replace with something that is going to match. This is the reason why it's always interesting to brush a bit around the area that you want to remove, okay? And if that does something like this that just happened, then you can just rebrush on top of the weird thing that happened, and it's going to be gone at some point. So that's how it works with the spot healing brush tool. This doesn't use AI, that's just something that is built inside of Photoshop. the remove tool does use AI to generate something new to clean the image. So here I just chose the remove tool, and let's say I want to remove this. So here the difference is that it's creating kind of a pink color, and boom, it's gone. Let's choose something bigger like this, for example, and this is gone. Okay, so it works pretty much the same, it's just not the same technology. Sometimes on a big file or a big area, the remove tool might take a bit longer to work, but here, as you can see, it's not the case, it's very fast. So yeah, I am still preferring usually the spot healing brush tool. I found that it creates less weird artifacts and weird texture than the remove tool, but that's really up to you. So remember that to clean your image, spot healing brush tool and remove tool, that's the two most important tools to use. Then of course, another way to clean is to use generative AI. So to use generative AI, you need to select an area. So to select an area, you can use the lasso tool. So this is this tool here, or L on your keyboard. And once you have the lasso tool, you're just gonna select the area you want to remove. And then you click on generative AI. Usually it works best when you don't write anything, unless if you want to replace with something very specific. I found that writing nothing will work best. So then you click on generate and you wait. And just like generative expand, you're gonna have three different options. So that's option 1, option 2, and option 3. So in this case, I think I prefer option 1. And just like this, let me move that, yeah. Just like this, here I've cleaned away this area here. So yeah, see how with 3 different tools we cleaned big areas in our image. Big and small actually. So yeah, this is before and this is after. So already if you know that inside of Photoshop, you can already do a lot of things. And that's usually why people come to Photoshop, is to have more possibilities when it comes to cleaning the image. Now what you have is the brush tool. It's a tool that is going to be very important to use mask. So mask, this is this little rectangle here next to a layer. And I'm going to talk about that when I talk about this layer panel, but remember that the brush tool, this is B on your keyboard, and that's very important to use it when you use layers. Then you have the stem tool, that is also a tool interesting to clean an image. So let me show you how it works. So here for the stem tool, let's say that you want to remove this. With the stem tool, what you need is to take a sample of a place, let's say this one, and you want to have this area here to replace this dot here. And that way I'm stamping an area into another one, seamlessly. The stem tool, you might think what's the point if I can just use the remove tool and the spot healing brush tool? Well, the point is that when you sample an area, you also sample the texture, and sometimes the remove tool might create weird texture, which is not going to happen with the stem tool. So sometimes for skin retouching or even some areas here for architecture, it's interesting to have access to a tool like the stem tool, where you know the texture is not going to end up being super weird. And yeah, I think that's all I want to show you inside of the toolbar. And one last thing, this is the pen tool, very important if you want to create precise selections. So let me show you. If I wanted to select this object here, what I do is that I just create dots, and I can also create curved dots. So here I create a dot, and then I create a curve by dragging. I click and drag my pen, and another dot, another one, and that way you can create a very precise selection. That's one of the power of Photoshop, is that you create precise selection, which is often not the case in other software like Lightroom. They are getting better, but the selection are still not at the same level as Photoshop. So here, once you have selected your wall object, you need to go back to the first dot. See the little circle next to the pen? Well, that means it's going to create a full selection. You click on select here, click on OK, and here I have selected my object. See, if I do Command G is to duplicate something. If I do Command G, then I have duplicated, look, only the object that I have selected. So this technique is mostly interesting if you do compositing with photography. If you want to move the location of one specific object, is something interesting to know. So you make a selection and then Command G once the selection is done and is selecting only the object. Okay, so that's it for the toolbar. So we talk about the lasso tool, the object selection tool, the crop tool, the eyedropper tool. We talk about the different cleaning tools, so spot healing brush tool and remove tool, and we talk about the pen tool and of course generative fill to clean one area or to remove something. Now the second panel that you need to know inside of Photoshop, this is the layer panel. And here we can see that we already started to use the layers, and that's very important that you edit your photo with layers, because that way it's really non-destructive. Here, let's say I have a client, or I just decide that, oh, actually I need to get back. I need to get this pipeline that I had here, this green pipeline. If I had cleaned directly on my photo, I couldn't bring it back, okay? That would be impossible. But here, because I've worked on layers, I can just toggle off my layer and this is back, okay? Because I've built my edit on a non-destructive way. Hope it's clear. If you are unsure of what this means, please write a comment in the description. So to create a new layer, the only thing you have to do is to click on the plus here and you see it's adding new layers. If you want to rename a layer, let me check what I did here. Probably nothing. Let me delete it. And here, this is some cleaning. So you double click on the name and you write something. So cleaning 2. And here, I at least know what this is. So please make a favor to yourself and name your layers. That'd be easier to find what it is for. Here, duplicated objects. Okay, now let me show you what is a mask. So here I'm creating a new layer. I'm going to call it mask, and with a brush, so be on my keyboard. I really highly recommend you to learn the keyboard shortcuts, because it's going to save you time. Instead of looking at each tool in the toolbar, you only focus on your photo and you just click on your keyboard shortcuts to focus on creativity instead of the techniques of the software. So here I'm just going to create something crazy for the example. Here I've created a red dot. Let's say that I didn't want this red dot to be completely filled, or there is an area of the image I didn't want to be affected. Well, I'm going to create a mask. So to create a mask, I'm gonna click with this rectangle that has a circle inside. So I click on it, and then on this, and then it's creating a little rectangle that is white next to my layer. You can see? Well, with this mask, I can brush white or black inside of it. If I brush white, it's going to reveal what's on my layer. If I brush black, it's going to make disappear what's on my layer. So here, let's take a black color. So my colors, they are here. If you have another color, like let's say you have some red, what you can do is to click on D. It's going to go back to the default color, black and white, okay? So just D on your keyboard, and then to go from black to white, you can either click on the little arrow here, switch foreground and background colors, or click on X on your keyboard. So here I want to choose the black color, and let's say I want the black dot to be only, I don't want the black dot to affect the right wall. Well, I go on my mask, I click on the mask, that's important, and then with my black color, I'm going to brush and see how it's making disappear my red dots. Now I am not deleting the dot because I am not using the eraser tool, I am just using a mask. Here, if I want to see what's happening if the mask is not here, look, this is just shift click, my red dot is back. But with the mask, it's disappear from the wall. Understand what's happening? So I'm not erasing, but I'm hiding with the mask. That's how you can target one area with adjustment, and I'm just going to show you that now. So adjustment, you go to adjustment. If you don't see this panel here, you go to window, you click on adjustment. And here I am going to choose color balance. That's one of my favorite adjustment layer to color grade my photos. And by the way, if you are interested to know how I color grade my photos, I teach that inside of the color code, my color grading course for photographers. I'll add the link in the description. So here you can see I've created an adjustment layer just by clicking on the little icon. And then it's automatically going to go back to properties and shows me what I can do with this adjustment. Inside of the layer panel, I can see that it created the same icon here and automatically a rectangle that is a mask, and that's white once again. So here I've created two, I'm going to delete one. And here, let's do some adjustments. So I want my adjustment to be a bit more bluish because I want to apply this to the street, okay? So you can choose shadows, midtones, highlights. I'm gonna go to the shadows, add some more blue. And now I want this to affect only the street. So what I'm gonna do is to click on my mask and I'm going to invert it. I don't want this mask to show anywhere. And then I'm going to zoom in. Let's use a tool that we talked about before, the object selection tool. And let's select the street. So I'm gonna select the street only, and then with my brush, the color to reveal is white. I go on my mask and I brush the white color, then to deselect Command D, and just like that my adjustment affect the street only. Of course here there is only the street that has a color that looks kind of weird, but that's how you color grade your image, by targeting one very specific area. So you can do the same with all the adjustment layers. So here I have a curve. Let's say I want this to affect only the light area here. So what I'm gonna do is to do Command I once again. And this time I'm gonna use the gradient tool. So the gradient tools, this is G on your keyboard, and this is here. I'm going to show you that I'm using that. I'm gonna choose basics black and white because I'm gonna use that on the mask, and as I said, for the mask you need to use black or white, so that's why I use black and white for my gradient. And then I'm gonna use this one, the radial gradient. I click on my mask and then I'm going to click and drag, and as you can see, if you click option, click on your mask, you're gonna see what it's affecting. Option, click on the mask, and I'm back on my photo. And this is before, this is after. And just like this, I make the light with more contrast in this area only, with a gradient tool applied on a mask. And here I could even work on colors, so I go to the blue channel, I go down with blue, because yellow is the opposite color of blue. So that's why I need to go to the blue channel to add some yellow to my image. Once again, I explain all of that in my color grading course. You can learn more about it with the link in the description. Okay, what else can we do? I think we could emphasize more of the yellow, orange tones in the walls. So here, to be honest, I do kind of random adjustment to show you how Photoshop works, but there is a method to follow if you want to choose colors that works well with each other's, and this is called choosing a color harmony, and usually it will help you to have colors that fits well with each other's. So I would always recommend you to do that, but here, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just doing a quick choice and adjustments. So here I just want to show you that, see, with only 3 adjustment layers, this is before and this is after, you are able to really target specific areas of your photo. So that's all you need to know really with Photoshop, and just with those 3 panels, the toolbar, the layer panel and the adjustment panel, you can do edits that are really in-depth. You can create atmosphere, you can create amazing color grading, and you don't need to know anything else. And usually that's when photographer gets super overwhelmed. That's because they learn things they don't need to know at first, and so they never really start to work inside of Photoshop. Of course, once you master that, there are a lot of other things that you can learn, but if you are a beginner, start with that and you can already go very far and in depth with photo editing. One more thing, to save your file, you do Command-Shift-S, or you go to File, Save, or Save As, and then you can just save your file as a PSD to save your work. And if you want to export as a JPEG, you just choose the format, JPEG, and save, and that's it. You saved a JPEG with a high quality from Photoshop. I hope that you like this video. If there are anything else you want to learn about Photoshop, let me know in the comments. As I said during the video, I have also a color grading course for photographers. I'll add the link in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.